One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in on a 1:30 show. Didn't plan on going live at 1:30, but things happen, and you got to just go with it. Donald Trump today, early this morning, about 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit beforehand, put out a notification that he's going to be doing a live press conference from Mar-A-Lago. He's scheduled to go live at 2 p.m. He's probably going to be prompt because he's home, so he doesn't have to worry about extra security or anything else. So we'll be cutting to him as soon as he comes on. So I've gotten emails and texts today, and people have been texting me, and they're asking me, what is this about? I don't know. I've looked all around. I've been trying to, see if I could ascertain from different people. It's been kind of a tight-lipped thing here, so I'm not really sure what he's going to talk about. I hope it's not just about his new Bitcoin. I understand his Bitcoin is going live and had like a huge, huge launch. But I hope it's something substantive about the election. At least that's what we can all hope for, that that's indeed what it's going to be. In fact, if I were to wager a guess as to what this is going to be all about, I would probably think that at this point, it's time to push the chips into the middle and go after Kamala Harris. I don't know if you've been watching my videos, you've been seeing what's going on with this Tim Walz thing. It's a wildfire that's absolutely out of control at this point. Let me show you a couple of things that happened. It's become so bad that now the Harris campaign has had to basically come forward and say something. They came out. This was from an article on Real Clear Politics. Scoop, the Harris campaign tells RCP staff made an innocent mistake when they put out a widely circulated statement claiming Walz, quote, had chaired Veteran Affairs. He was a ranking member, however, he was never a chairman. So now they're in a position where they're having to play some serious defense. They didn't expect that they would have to play this kind of defense at this point in the campaign. That's not what they wanted to do. I'm going to do a video later today I'm going to detail the strategy as to what the Kamala Harris campaign is doing right now and why a lot of us are like, what is she doing? Now we know. Now we know specifically what she's doing, and I'll bring that to you guys probably, depending on how long this thing goes, maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then tonight at 7. Tonight at 7, I've got a show, another live show. The 4 or 5 o'clock video will be pre-recorded, but I have a 7 o'clock show tonight, and it's basically providing you with some, again, more. I've got more information to show you an undebunkable stat, an undebunkable thing that nobody in the media dares talk about. They won't even bring it up. It's like it never even happened. But I keep watching every single day, and the needle doesn't move. And that's the thing I keep focusing on to determine where Trump sits with everything. And why I keep saying I believe Trump is going to win in a landslide. I'm ignoring all the normal polls. I'm ignoring all the normal data. I do my polling show tomorrow, and I'm going to show you how much of a BS that entire thing is right now. And it truly is BS. So, stay tuned tonight. Undebunkable is the name of the segment. Let me see what you guys are doing. God bless Barry. God bless you too, Zach. How you guys doing? Kamala Harris is complaining about old racist white guys, and she picks an old racist white guy. Oh, I forgot. So let me show you something as we're talking about his Tim Walz. So something happened, and it came into the news about a day ago, maybe a little bit more than a day. Maybe we're talking about 24, 36 hours. And it was something so crazy, everybody goes, no, that can't possibly be true. And it's so crazy and so outlandish, I can't really talk about it here on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure the people here on YouTube wouldn't like us even discussing it. But now it's becoming more prevalent every single hour. And I'm not even talking about the stolen valor stuff. This came out literally, you'll see it in a second, at 12:45, 45 minutes ago. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted this. Listen, stolen valor is about as bad as it gets. Well, maybe not. But what is this I'm hearing about a horse? Got milk? Let me just tell you, Mr. Ed himself would be very pleased with Mr. Tim Walz if this thing turns out to be what it is. I like how Don Trump Jr. just said, what's all this talk about a horse? And like I said, I can't talk about it. So you're like, well, Barry, if you can't talk about it, what are we supposed to know? Well, if you haven't seen it on Twitter, there's something going on about Tim Walz and a horse. And a lot of people are talking about it and tweeting about it. And an article came out from a newspaper where people aren't really sure if it was real, if it was a meme. Is it just being said? If it is true, she's done. Forget Tim Walz. Tim Walz will have to go back to, forget Minnesota. He'll have to move to maybe Afghanistan and hide his face forever. If it's true, she hired, or basically is trying to hire somebody she should never, ever have talked to. Forget the stolen valor. I don't think they can survive that. They are definitely going to try and survive the stolen valor stuff. But what came out in the last day and a half or so is absolutely sickening and disgusting. I mean, sickening to the point where you can't even, wow. It's that bad. It's that bad. And for me to be this protected about talking about it tells you how bad it must be. It is so bad, when I started showing my wife some of the stuff that was out there, even she went, that's a little bit much. I don't even want to hear about it anymore. And I'm like, you have to hear about it, honey. You have to know what's going on in the news and who this guy. She just looks at me. She goes, just help get rid of him. Do whatever you can. Do your shows. Talk about the politics. But these people can't be in power. They can't possibly be in power. So I can't say it. I know for a fact that would cause the people upstairs to come down in the black helicopters, and they would rope down and probably swoop in and take my camera and microphone. It's that bad. It's so bad, I guarantee you will never hear, you won't even hear the news talk about it to debunk it. They're not going to touch it. It's so third rail stuff. If you thought him basically promoting Transformers was bad, if you thought it was bad that he basically made a law where men and kids can relate to each other, as I can say, this thing will take you over the edge. This thing will make you wonder, did we really go into the Matrix? Did we really fall into it? Because at this point, it's beyond a candid camera scene. We're talking full on inmates running the asylum type stuff. We're talking about taking off the straight jackets and giving these guys offices. That's how bad it is. Some of you guys, so no, those animal masks aren't cartoon masks. Ooh, man, Crime said I've heard enough. Yeah, it's that bad. One guy, Michelle in Michigan, I can't put your comment. Oh, well, maybe I could. It probably can get away because I have to correct you. I read today he drank horse. That. Nope. Nah, that ain't it. It's the other fluid, but not that one. Tampon Tim is some kind of If this is what they're finding out just merely 24 to 36 hours into his candidacy, is this when they start peeling back the onion and saying, whew, oh man, oh, that's a bit much. Oh, what else we got? Oh, wow. So we got all that to look at? If this is what we're finding out in just the last 24 to 48 hours, can you even imagine the stuff when people actually start digging? Laura Loomer's out there saying that she believes, or she's got a scoop on something that's can't say again. Can't say it, but the word starts with like Twinkies. It's getting into that gray area where, church lady stuff. You're like, can't talk about it because it's so evil. And if Kamala Harris's first decision as a presidential candidate was to bring this guy on with all this baggage, you should run her on a rail. I mean, these people went berserk because, Trump had some sort of relation with a porn star. And that was just like, oh, beyond the pale. Oh my God, we can't talk about that. At that point, Stormy was a beautiful woman. He was a young, billionaire, and whatever they did or didn't do. And for people to be clutching pearls over two consenting adults just used to make me laugh. I'm like, y'all know you done it, right? Y'all done the exact same thing. The only thing you didn't have is $130,000 supposedly to pay somebody, but you've done the other stuff. There's nothing that any of you can feign. I'm talking about the media, that you can't say, well, I've done that deed. What Tim Walz has done, if that's true, I can feel pretty confident that almost nobody has done that I know, or none of you have done. That's how bad it is. It's absolutely shocking, stunning, disqualifying. He's got to go, and Kamala has to go if they go ahead and confirm this. Now, the funniest thing about this is that this thing has been swirling for 24 to 48 hours. And normally, what you would see, even on Twitter, there would be a community note that would get applied to a tweet. And that community note would say, hey, we have found out that this thing isn't really true. You're spreading true disinformation. You shouldn't talk about this because it's not true. You're just trying to get over on the guy. As of right now, there has no community note been applied to any tweet talking about this? There has not been one journalist that said, no, that didn't happen. Tim Walz hasn't even said, no, that didn't happen. So, hey, Marcus, what's going on? Not Mr. Ed. Oh, God. Oh, God, that's too funny. Horse clam chowder. Oh, see, there's some ladies in here and probably some men who are like, I don't know if I want to hear what you guys are talking about. I don't know if I even want to go there. And you guys are being so creative by touching that third rail. It's cracking me up. Again, just to give you an idea, this is from Donald Trump Jr. So he put it out there. And if Donald Trump Jr. put it out there, you know Dad knows about it. And he's like, but what's this I'm hearing about a horse, huh? Wow. People, where has America gone? Where has the left taken us at this point? We're even discussing this about a vice presidential candidate. We're used to, unsavory stories of, he cheated on her or she cheated on him or he stole some money or he did some kind of kickback scheme. Yeah, that's normal politics. We've heard all that. But this stuff, the area that we are now traversing and even wondering, is it true? We're actually having to think about that. Oh my God, did somebody who's in office actually do this? Man, I would be the first person to the microphone. I would be calling a national press conference. Let me just set you the things right here. I have never, ever done what they've said that I've done. I would never do that. Not in a million years would I ever do that. So let me go back to where I used to live. You can talk to every single person that worked at this hospital. You can talk to every person that worked on this farm. You can talk to everybody. Come here, doctor. Tell him, you never pumped my stomach, did you? No, that's not true. I wasn't even on duty then. Okay, great. Here's his duty record. He wasn't even there. The whole story is made up. He never had to pump my stomach. I would go that far. Looking at the screen, and they're showing Donald Trump's setup at Mar-A-Lago, a very presidential look as he's going to be coming out to. They've got basically a presidential-style podium with flags behind him. They're just showing the room. He's not out there. As soon as they show him, we'll definitely go to it. But we're just having a little fun right now, just talking about. I gotta show you this. Oh my goodness. Hey there, fella. No, he's not interested. Oh my goodness. Oh God. Oh no. Those of you who don't know the gig right now, who don't understand what's going on, you're starting to probably get some chats. You're probably filling in the blanks here going, oh no. Oh, please change the subject. All right, I'll change the subject. Trump's going to be talking soon. Somebody just said, where was that? Haven't heard about it, but yeah. Teresa's in therapy now. You're killing me. Right out of the horse's mouth. Oh boy. Oh, how embarrassing. Maybe he ran out of cool. You're killing me. Oh God, I can't take it. Oh, Chris Heth's like, oh my God, what did I miss? Chris, I'm sure there's some people who might DM you in the chat who might want to talk about it. I like I said, I can't talk about it here, but it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Whatever somebody said, whatever. It's too much. It's good. Oh, with what's going on in the world, all we can do at this point is have some fun and laugh. It's so crazy. It's so sick. It makes no sense whatsoever. And then I start reading these polls, which are, I don't know, the polls that they're trying to push on people may be more humorous than the actual thing of what, well, what Tim Walz accused of isn't funny. It's kind of sick, but you want to laugh at him. But the polls were, Kamala's up 15 points. And I'm like, do we all look that stupid? Just tell me, do we all look that stupid? Oh my God, 15 points. Tim got triggered. You guys are just too much. Now we know why Trump said thank you when they picked Mr. Head. Like I said, I would be running to the podium as fast as I possibly can. I would have my entire family around me, everybody I know. No, he did not do that. That is not true. Right now isn't the time to say, I can't even dignify this with a response. No, you need to dignify this. This is something you need to definitely come out and dignify. If anything, just come out and say, no, it's not true. Turn around and walk away. But just to let it fester out there, and if your only comeback at this point is that Republicans are just absurd. Do you see what kind of people they are? No, dude, you stood up on a stage. You stood up on a stage, made up a story about J.D. Vance messing around with a couch. Then you said that Republicans are just plain weird. You did. And now as things come out every single hour, we're finding out who the real weirdo really is. It's you. You put tampons in the boys' bathroom. And then today, I feel like, oh man, I've got to show you this. Because I feel like at this point we are stuck in a matrix. We are stuck where these people are doing nothing but putting out stories that make absolutely no sense. After all of that, you're going to love this. We're seeing stories like this. Let me put this up. This is where we are. You got Politico running an article at this point saying male politicians are usually terrible at dressing down, but Tim Walz is one of the few who can pull it off, writes menswear critic Dye Workwear. Seriously? We're talking about dressing down. You're happy that this guy, maybe it's barnwear. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's got the best barnwear. Is that what they're talking about? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. At this point, you're writing articles to try. You're actually letting us know we are deep into the matrix. We are so far into the matrix. You guys better be reaching for red jelly beans. Pretending they're the red pill. Reach for every red jelly bean you can and start popping them because you need to get out of this. You need to unplug. It's absolutely insane what they're doing. Now people are finding out that she's out there paying or trying to pay social influencers to do posts. And the social influencers are like, nah, man, I ain't doing that. And it's coming out over and over and over again. So if you're telling me you've got to go out there and find people and pay them $10,000 to say nice things about you, you're basically becoming a social media John. You're looking to have some sort of transaction where they provide this service for you so you can pay them so they can, talk nice about you and talk bad about Trump. Nothing we're seeing is real. Everything is made by, it's AstroTurf. And then we got these pollsters who, in basically 2 weeks, they're saying she's the next best thing ever. She's up by 20 points. And I'm thinking to myself, Trump, you got to go back. You got to go on with Elon on Monday and just basically crack the bubble. I hope your press conference today is you're going to come out and say, you know what? I'm done with this. If this woman won't do any press, we need to put it on you guys. Because right now, her plan, and I'm going to do a video later on, her plan is to ride this out, stay quiet. She has seen everybody talk about it. She knows people are questioning her why she won't come out. J.D. Vance walks out to the plane yesterday. J.D. Vance says, what's going on here? And instead of the press saying, he's right, she should be doing some press conferences, they attacked J.D. Vance for walking out. Oh, he's a stalker. Oh my God, it's such creepy behavior to walk out to her plane. And none of them, Well, maybe you guys might want to be asking her questions, demanding answers from her. But no, JD Vance. Oh, that was stalker material. Unbelievable. Hey, Jason. Jason says I live in Amish country. Nice country out there, and it's all Trump. Maybe Tim likes it in the back. Oh, they're showing the screen. He hasn't come out yet. 1:55. Let's see if he comes out in time. Poor Mr. Ed. Yeah, I see a bunch of his comments. I just can't hit the button and put them up. God, it's too much. First time on the chat, then you need to understand. We love to have you, Miriam. Thank you for coming on in, talking to us. They are indeed the weirdos. You have to be. There are too many pictures. And what they're trying to do is tell you with your own ears and eyes that the way people have lived and have lived traditionally forever, you're weird. We're not weird. We want to put on high heels and dresses and have beards. And we want... don't have to say any longer. Here is the number one thing proving that normalcy as we know it is a pipe dream, that we are indeed in a matrix. Today, maybe it already happened, but sometime today, the finals in women's boxing is happening. And the two people fighting for the gold medal in women's boxing are actually, you got it, men. How crazy is that? When did we cross over that Rubicon where at this point we're all fine with women's boxing basically being taken over? It's no longer women's boxing. It's just boxing. Just whoever. But you don't see... I would just love for some weightlifting, powerlifting woman who won a gold medal in the discus or something to say, you know, I've had enough. I'm changing over. I'm a boxer now. I'm gonna beat the crap out of this guy. Or, you know, woman, somebody just go in there and take these two people out and just beat the ever-living crap out of them. You want to fight women? All right. We got some women maybe who know some stuff from the WWE, or they may know some mixed martial arts or some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and they want to have a word, bud. Unbelievable. No wonder Chlamydia picked them. They both like Black Will. Oh boy, the Olympics are a joke right now. Yes, they are. Very strange, very weird, a weird coincidence. I don't think it's even a coincidence anymore, man. I really don't. It's just, it's scary. So changing the subject because I can't deal with this stuff anymore. Let's hope that Trump comes out here in the next 2 minutes and delivers one hell of a message and basically goes after Kamala, not because of her sex, not because of her color, not because she's a DEI hire. Frame it. Put it in a box and keep on message. Keep hitting that message. Immigration, border, gas prices, drilling, food prices, real estate, interest rates. Every single time you get in front of a camera, that's what he needs to be talking about right now. She has no answer. In fact, she may not want an answer. Who knows what's going to happen in the next, 2 weeks when the supposed Democrat convention happens? Is it possible that she bows out, takes a big bunch of cash, takes it on the run and says, I'm out? This guy, crazy Tim here, he's not going to work? But, okay, I'm looking at the podium, and they're showing it. Nothing yet but the microphone. So as soon as he steps up, we'll get to it. But I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever what she's doing. She's just staying quiet. And at this point, Trump, unfortunately, because the media isn't going to do it, start today and begin taking the fight to her. And like I've said, I believe that when he and Elon Musk get together and they have their interview, they're going to blow the doors off. They're going to blow the doors off of her communistic ideology and what she wants to do. Let everybody know she can't stop. She can't stop the inflow of the newcomers. Why do we know that? Because she hasn't done it. She can't help fix grocery prices and gas prices. Why? Because she hasn't done it. Make her explain. She goes and gives these speeches, these flowery speeches at these rallies, which happen to be someone else's concerts, but then she shows and takes the credit for the crowd. But that being said, don't touch that either, Trump. Let her have that. But what you need to do is hit her very, very hard and say, why are you giving speeches about fixing the gas prices and the shortages of food and getting people more money and retail prices coming down? Why are you talking about doing that in January 2025 when you got a job right now? When you can go see the old demented guy and try and figure it out? Oh, by the way, you probably can't because he's never there. You understand, at this point, I have no idea who's running this country. I mean, the guy doesn't do anything. It's Thursday, and tomorrow's Friday. He's off to the beach again. They're shuffling him off. He has like one thing on his schedule. He's worked like a couple hours the entire week, and then he's gone. Why? Maybe that's why you have to wait until January, because you can't do anything now because Dementia Joe is never in the office. But in any event, that's what Trump has to hit her about. The media is going to keep trying to steer him back to the racial stuff. DEI, racial, all this stuff. You said this. You said this at the Black Journalist Convention last week or 2 weeks ago, blah, 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 blah. No, they want to steer you there. They want to put you in the box. You need to put her in the box. And you can definitely do it because you own that, man. You definitely can be the person that's doing it. So it is 2:02 right now. Let's see if he's coming out. They're showing they're coming in from a commercial. I hope they don't run commercials through this thing. I had a different feed today. Let's see if they got cut to Mar-A-Lago. They're doing all their intro stuff on television. Come on, cut to it. Don't see. Nope, he hasn't stepped up yet. So soon is what they're saying on the screen as of right now. Soon. That's what we got. I'm checking a different channel too at the same time. And nope, seems like everybody is just waiting to see what he does. So I'll keep talking to you guys. You guys are too much. Hold your horses. Yeah, and indeed, we are flying on autopilot. I've never seen anything like this. Never seen anything where our President of the United States is just completely absent, AWOL, and nobody cares that he's absent or AWOL. It's absolutely crazy. And we the American people are paying them over $400,000 a year. Will you continue getting paid if you didn't do your job? Nope, we wouldn't. We would be somewhere else. Got a super chat from Harold Miller here. Thank you very, very, very much. Man, we've had a good time today, and he hasn't even started. Hey, folks, my man Barry is on. Thank you, Gary. I'm still waiting for him. I figured he'd be on time today, but I'm checking different channels, and he still hasn't walked out there yet. So, dude's always late. I don't know why he's late today. Doesn't make any sense. But in any event, he is not, has not walked out as of yet. Everybody's waiting for the signal. Maybe Tim is trying to stall. I got you. I see what you did there. And the whole world is on fire. Yeah. It seems like Israel and Iran have taken a pause for a second, but all I think is just a pause to basically get all their ducks in a row and to see what's going to happen. I don't know if you guys heard, but the FBI or Interpol or somebody, they busted a big terrorist attempt where they were going to try and kill people at a Taylor Swift concert. So wherever she was going to have a show, they were able to stop the guy from doing something over there, but they couldn't stop the guy in Butler, Pennsylvania, who was just a 20-year-old guy who, crawled up on a roof by himself. Yeah, right. Getting last-second updates, maybe. maybe he's he's doing that. But I'm checking 2 different channels, and nobody has switched yet. So I hope I am on the right feed. Somebody asked me, have I heard have I heard the allegations today about Tim? Yes, we've been talking about the allegations about Tim. It's not funny. Did I see the Dan Bongino show today? Nope, not yet. I usually watch that at night. I download it. I'm sure he's got some pretty good stuff as well. What else we got here? Yes, I just saw that. Okay, so somebody has just seen what the Tim thing is. Again, if you guys haven't seen it, I can't really say what it is, but it's worse than the stolen valor stuff, and it's out there. It's out there. It's disturbing, to say the least, if it's true. And as of right now, if it comes out that it's fake, I will pull it down, the post I put up. But everybody's showing this article from a newspaper that shows that indicative of it could be true. And then, as I mentioned earlier, even Donald Trump Jr. has now posted about it. So, oh no, there's another allegation about children. I know that Laura Loomer said she had a story she was working on. And I know a lot of people think she's nuts. She can't even get the word out about what she's going to talk about. But in any event, there were some allegations going down that road too. And the whole thing I can't understand is there has to be an extremely deep vetting process. And I talked about it on last night's show, and the only thing I can think of is that the people who did the vetting, because they don't know anything about the military, are the type of people who wouldn't even understand that that's a big deal. I mean, you're probably looking at other little socialists and communists running around, whoever she hired to do the vetting, and they probably came across it and, oh, there's some stuff here about him and stolen valor. Well, it's a big deal. That's just right-wing nuts out there talking about it. That's fine. Let's go ahead and check the box there. Not even knowing that would be a big deal at all. And Arizona Guy 1, thank you very, very much. Very much. Jason Doherty says they will replace Walsh before the DNC happens. Very possible. They may replace both of them. I mean, think about it. If the stuff that's happening to him is true, we know the stolen valor stuff is true. So that's confirmed 100%. There's no getting away from that. That may be enough to take him down. But whatever takes him down has to take her down. That was your first decision coming out of the box. And what are you going to tell everybody across the country? Oops, I made a mistake on arguably my biggest decision I've made in my political career. And now everything that the Democrats talk about when they talk about her record, your record is your failed border czar. And now as your first decision that you had to make coming out of the box as a potential president is you hired this guy? And now with the other stuff about the barnyard stuff, God forbid if that's true. I mean, there's no way. Trump's on. I'm on too. Yes, he is. I don't know why these people haven't put him on. Okay, hold on. I will switch because I could do this very quickly. They're sitting here talking their butts off. Typical lib stuff here. I'm working this. Hold on one second. Get to it. What kind of crap is this stuff here? And okay, hold on. I'm trying to get it to come through. And it's not going to do it for me that way, so I'm going to have to go with the guys on. And they still have soon, so shit. Excuse my language. Don't know why these guys are taking so long. Hold on. You're not going to miss it because those guys have it. I know what they're doing now. I know exactly what they're doing. They are probably working a delay so they can decide if they can take his input. Let me change to another one. I've got a couple different ones here. This absolutely sucks. What is wrong with you people? Let me check here. Yes, okay, let me try here. Hold on. I'm getting there. And all right, I got it.
That thing's coming up. You could end up in a depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing. Took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that. And we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected. All over the world, they're laughed at. And we can't have that. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. With that being said, we have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against the somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen.
Let me know that you guys can all hear this. How the volume?
Man, that is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. Heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds having to do with safety. He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she's not.
Can you guys all hear? Okay.
By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it. And I just hope that the media becomes more diligent, more honest, frankly, because if they're not going to be honest, it's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some very good polls over the last fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially. I guess MSNBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was, has us leading, and leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect all around the world for our country. They don't want this horrible culture that is developing, a culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants. We want to have a safe country. We want to have a strong military. We want low interest rates, and we want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes, housing, get good jobs. And we're really just at the opposite right now. It's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history, in the world history. I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people, and it could be very much higher than that. Nobody really knows what the number is. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are, but they're much higher than you would think. Just like far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. Just like the October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have millions and millions of dead people. And you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything. And they're living horribly in our country right now. With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates. And we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those three dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience, some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily, I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight. Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? It's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into these are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South America, all over the world. Prisons are being emptied out into our country because we have a president that's the worst president in the history of our country. We have a vice president who is the least admired, least respected, and the worst vice president in the history of our country. The most unpopular vice president, and because of political reasons or because of being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated, as I remember it, because I watched it very closely, but she was the first one. She never made it to Iowa, the first state. She never made it to Iowa. She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with calling him a racist and the school bus and all of the different things. She was very nasty to Biden. And shockingly, he appointed her, asked her to serve as vice president. Well, I don't know if he's happy about that decision right now. This was taken away. The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly, because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way, or we'll do it the hard way. And he said, all right. So that, I mean, they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. We're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish. We cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something. But to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad thing in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed. And he had a rough debate. But that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes. And I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to find out what a bad job she did, what a bad job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said, border czar, oh, she loved that name. She loved that name. But she never went there. She went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a location that was not part of the problem. That was not really going to the border. So essentially, she never went to the border. And if you listen to Tom Holman, if you listen to the great border people, Brandon Judd from Border Patrols, I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge, and all they do is they play the ref with the judges. But this judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the special, I call it prosecutor, special counsel, special prosecutor to me, he appointed by him and appointed by Garland, he said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we no longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things. And she should not be in a position, because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail. It's going to be a failure the likes of which this world has never seen. Yeah, please. No, how about you?
Wonderful, thank you. A big part of your strategy before Harris became the nominee was going after and increasing the share of, can you hear me?
You have to speak louder.
Okay, great. A big part of the strategy for your campaign before Harris became the nominee was appealing to black voters. That's
Yeah.
something you were really going after. In polls, we really see Harris gaining ground with that group, and I'm wondering how you are going to go after black voters now that she's the nominee and really winning the vote.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up. Now, I don't know. All we're doing is giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back.
You're now leading the Jewish voters in your home state of New York. With that being said, what do you make of Kamala Harris not picking Josh Shapiro as her lead?
Well, I don't know. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her.
Mr. President, if the president personally agrees to the ABC debate, would you be willing just to do that one debate?
I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates. We think we should do 3 debates. We think Fox and ABC. And we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential, and I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job. Say it.
Are you worried at all about the size of Harris's crowds?
Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, which they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party, and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened, zero chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to do it with dignity and strength. And we were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed. And we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened. And you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation, because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election, if they won, you're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market. People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that. And you know what else? The weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy. So, but on crowd size, in history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have, and you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say, that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people. In South Carolina, I had 88,000 people. In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me. But she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, oh, the enthusiasm's back. No. The enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of. That's where the enthusiasm is. Yeah.
If you get those two, you could seal the deal. That's what they say. How important is it to you, and is it salvageable for you to be able to repair the relationship with Governor Kemp?
I don't know if I can or not. I got him elected. Without me, he wouldn't be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it. But if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now, in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly, for some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen. And the people of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, and we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot.
he lose this election?
Well, he actually said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right? You know, if you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he said. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate. He could have talked about that at the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that. He's just, you know, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all. Okay?
You have not had a public campaign event for nearly a week now for Mar-A-Lago in Montana, which is not a swing state. Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this race seriously.
What a stupid question this is.
Why haven't you been?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through. And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group. We are in great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen. No, after their convention, yeah. And I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers. I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected. Congressmen and women get elected. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, can you tell us a bit more about your upcoming interview with Elon Musk?
The upcoming what?
Interview with Elon Musk on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Now saying that the Chinese Communist Party can use American social media platforms to spread its propaganda. What do you think they should do?
Yeah, the Elon Musk. So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement. I respect Elon a lot. He respects me. And not easy for him to endorse, to be honest with you. You know, it takes courage to endorse people. Many people have courage and many people don't. He does have courage. And Elon endorsed me, and he asked me whether or not I'd do a show on Monday, and I think it's going to be Monday night. And I believe he's the host of the show. So it'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night.
Big night.
Well, you have a lot of misinformation spread about China, and you have a lot of misinformation spread about a lot of different places. I think I'm going to get along great with China. President Xi of China and I were very good friends. We met right here, right in that, except we had a beautiful sofa there as opposed to what we have right now. Right now we have you. But President Xi and I had a very good relationship until COVID. And I held him responsible for COVID. It broke up our relationship. But I think we're going to have a great relationship. And I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. But we cannot have it where China is taking advantage of the United States, and that's what they were doing, as you very well know. Yes, please.
Mr. President, you just said that it was a peaceful transfer of power last time when you left office. You didn't concede. January 6th was a violent attack. How is that a peaceful transfer of power?
What's your question?
My question is, you think the last time there was a peaceful transfer of power when you left office?
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much. I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly. And they were there to complain, not through me. They were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to And I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall, I was at the Washington Monument, I was at the whole thing. I had crowds, I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd, we actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people, and I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, please.
President Trump, you said repeatedly on Truth Social that it was unconstitutional for the Democrats to replace President Biden with Vice President Harris as their candidate. Can you explain your constitutional analysis? Which part of...
Yeah, sure. We have a constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has no votes. And I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not complaining from that standpoint. And I hate to be defending him, but he did not want to leave. He wanted to see if he could win. They said, you're not going to win after the debate. They said, you're not going to win. You can't win. You're out. Mm-hmm. And at first they said it nicely, and he wasn't leaving. And then you know it better than anybody. Wait a minute. So when you think about it, they said, at first, they were going to go out to another vote. They were going to go through a primary system, a quick primary system, which it would have to be. And then it all disappeared, and they just picked a person that was the first out. She was the first loser, okay? So we call her the first loser. She was the first loser when, during the primary system. During the Democrat primary system, she was the first one to quit, and she quit. She had no votes, no support, and she was a bad debater, by the way, very bad debater. And that's not the thing I'm looking forward to, but she was a bad debater. She did obviously a bad job. She never made it to Iowa. Then for some reason, and I know he regrets it, you do too, he picked her, and she turned on him too. She was working with the people that wanted him out. But the fact that you can get no votes, lose in the primary system, in other words, you had 14 or 15 people, she was the first one out, and that you can then be picked to run for president, it seems to me actually unconstitutional. Perhaps it's not. Please.
Are there any ways you see her as a more challenging opponent than those other two?
So I've run against Hillary, and I've run against various other people. I would say that in terms of intelligence, Hillary was far superior. I would say that. Hillary was smart. She was her own worst enemy in many ways, but she was smart, very smart. Okay? If you ask me to compare them. Please.
You speak out the position on religion that was probably more popular with general election voters than many of your Republican primary opponents did, leaders in states. Given that that's your position, how do you plan to vote in Florida's abortion ballot referendum this fall?
Would you repeat that question, please? Do you have to speak up?
Yes, sir.
It's a hard room because it's very big, if you know. So this is worth $18 million. Oh, I see.
That was probably more popular with general election voters than many of your Republican rivals in the primary. You said leaders in states. Given that Florida is a state voting on that.
Yeah.
How do you plan to vote?
So I think the abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate, and it seems to be much less of an issue, especially for those where they have the exceptions, as you know. And I think it's when I look for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's Democrats, Republicans, and independents, and everybody liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back in the states, and I did that. Now the states are voting. And frankly, some of the votes are much more, if you could say, liberal than you would think. Ohio turned out to be, they had a big vote, and it turned out to be a much more liberal standing than people would have thought. Kansas, the same thing. And then you have Texas, and you have other places where it may be different. But the issue has been brought back to the states now. And like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly. I think that that's a very important thing. I think when you have to follow your heart. But when you don't believe in the exceptions, I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue. But about 82% of Republicans do believe in exceptions. I think and a lot of them are changing their mind and coming even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small, I think it's actually going to be a very small issue. What I've done is I've done what every Democrat and every Republican wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states. And now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought. But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, when you think about the radical, the Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born, we will put the baby aside, and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that. He is the most liberal. Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination. So I'll use the word progressive. They want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use the word progressive. But there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore, really. And when people hear what I said in the debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate, we've brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states. And very importantly, and you think about this, assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your heart, and you should follow your heart. But that issue is very much subdued. Yeah, thank you. About who?
About the assassination attempt.
Yes.
Did the fact that somebody used an AR-15 gun at all change your impression of people's access to that?
No, I didn't. Look, if you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they want, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. On July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago. You know that. They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that. Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country, and I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. If you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months, and then we had the disaster of the lift, where people were falling off airplanes from 3 times the height of the World Trade Center. I mean, terrible. But now our country has to be respected again. Please. Go ahead, please.
There was reporting, I believe, in the New York Times that Kamala Harris said she might be open to the idea of a weapons embargo against Israel. I wonder if you could comment on that. Would that be
I'd be against that. That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons? Yeah. That's what I hear. Look, she's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad to Jewish people. And I say it, if anybody I know is Jewish and they would vote for Kamala over me, they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy. I gave them no Iran deal. The problem is they didn't do anything with it. Iran was broke. We could have made a deal so easily. I would have had a deal done within 1 week after the election with Iran. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We would have gotten along with Iran. I was looking forward to it. I was fine with Iran. You know, we hit them a couple of times pretty hard, but we would have been fine with Iran. But I terminated that deal. I got them the Abraham Accords. Everyone said that's impossible. I got them the Abraham Accords. She's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad and disrespectful to Jewish people. And any Jewish person that votes for Kamala and her friend, her new friend, who I don't know if she knew him before, but I don't think he's too good. But anybody that votes for them, if you're Jewish or if you love Israel, you have to have your head examined. Go ahead, please. They have. The FBI came to see me about the shooter. I think they've done a very good job. And I think they did a very good job with respect to this other lunatic that they have in custody. Please.
There's been some discussion around Vice President Harris's relationship with Willie Brown,
Yeah.
former mayor of San Francisco, and how that might have intersected with her career trajectory. So I'm just wondering if you followed that discussion at all and had any thoughts.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Just a question. Do you believe Vice President Harris would certify your election victory if you win?
Yeah, I do. Go ahead.
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum?
On what?
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum?
Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida does have a vote coming up on that, and I think probably the vote will go in a little more liberal way than people thought. But I'll be announcing that at the appropriate time. Please.
Mr. President, your tax cuts from your administration will be coming up, fairly soon and potentially expiring. I wanted to ask you specifically about the tax code favoring parents versus people who don't have children. There are a number of tax.
Yeah. Oh, we gave tremendous for child care and all of that. No, our tax cuts, which are the biggest in history, our tax cuts are coming due, as you know, very soon. And if the Democrats don't renew them or make it impossible to renew because it's pretty close in terms of vote, if they don't renew them, it's the equivalent of having a 4 times tax increase from what you have right now, and it'll destroy the economy. I think they're under tremendous pressure to do it. I've never seen, all my life I grow up and I watch politics, and I used to be on the other side of politics first, and then I run for office. But in all the years of studying politics, I've never seen people get elected by saying, we're going to give you a tax increase. These guys get up, think of it. We're going to give you no security. We're going to give you a weak military. We're going to give you no walls, no borders, no anything. We're going all these things they're doing. I mean, the transgender became such a big thing, but they do all of these things, but they always say, we're going to give you a tax increase. I never heard anybody campaign on a tax increase. A politician has always said, I will cut taxes. I'll give you one example. Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. I am going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age. I will be saving Social Security, and I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sure. Because other people have done far bigger things than Steve Bannon. Sure. It's politically motivated. I think it's a horrible thing they did. Look, they've weaponized government against me. Look at the Florida case. It was a totally weaponized case. All of these cases, by the way, the New York cases are totally controlled out of the Department of Justice. They sent their top person to the various places. They went to the AG's office, got that one going. Then he went to the DA's office, got that one going, ran through it. No, this is all politics, and it's a disgrace. Never happened in this country. It's very common that it happens, but not in our country. It happens in banana republics and third world countries, and that's what we're becoming. We have no borders. We have bad voting regulations. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have problems. France learned that lesson. You know, France had all mail-in voting, and they went back to paper ballots, voter identification, voter ID. They went back to a normal system, one-day voting. They don't want to be around, voting for 64 days. And look, the election, I keep talking about November 5th, but the election really starts on September 6th. That's when it starts because it's early voting. We should have one-day voting. We should have paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship. Please.
Agreed.
No, the gentleman in back.
President, do you support continuation tax credit for EVs?
For who?
For electric vehicles, do you support continuation?
You're going to have to talk louder, sir.
Do you support continuation of tax credits for EVs? And secondly, what sort of political or policy advice does Elon Musk give?
Elon is a very different kind of a guy. He's a very big believer in the country, but he's very worried about the country. Mm-hmm. He's very worried about the country. And I don't know if it's good for him politically to have supported me, although I think we have a vast majority of this country does support me. But Elon, more than almost anybody I know, I mean, he loves this country. He loves the concept of the country. But like me, he says this country is in big trouble. It's in tremendous danger. Okay, please.
Polls suggest overwhelmingly that Americans trust you more than Kamala Harris to fix the U.S. economy.
I like this guy. I like him.
What message do you have to Americans, sir, who are struggling to pay for everything?
Yeah.
Groceries, rent?
The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People are voting with their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago. Look at what's happened to energy. Look at what's happened not only to their cars, where gasoline's gone from $1.87, and we had moments when it was below that, but it's gone from $1.87 to $5, $6, and $7. And they take the strategic national reserves and they take it out, even though it's peanuts compared, it doesn't last long. But they're virtually empty now. We've never had it this low. And he's using that to keep the gasoline prices as low as possible. He's sucked all of the oil out, essentially the gasoline, to keep the price down a little bit, and it's had very little impact. But you know what? We have no strategic national reserves now. He's emptied it. It's almost empty. It's never been this low. And I had it at a good level, and I would have had it more if the Democrats would have approved the deal. You know, I had a deal to buy it at $22 a barrel, and now it's going to be close to 100 pretty soon, my opinion. And the Democrats didn't want to do that, but we bought a lot anyway, and we had it pretty good. And what they've done to the national reserves, the strategic national reserves, is, as you know very well, because you cover it, but what they've done is incredible. They've just, for the sake of getting some votes, for the sake of having gasoline, that's meant for wars. It's meant for, like, tragedy. It's not meant for the sake of having gasoline. That's meant for wars. It's meant for, like, tragedy. It's not meant to keep a gasoline price down so that somebody can vote for Biden, or in this case, Kamala, who, by the way, is worse than Biden. And she's actually not as smart. Okay? She's actually not as smart. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, please. Okay.
There are other things the federal government could do, not just a ban. Would you direct your FDA, for example, to revoke access to mifepristone?
Sure, you could do things that would supplement, absolutely. And those things are pretty open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote, and all I want to do is give everybody a vote. And the votes are taking place right now as we speak. Yeah, but it's there are many things on a humane basis that you can do outside of that, but you also have to give a vote, and the people are going to have to decide. Okay, yes, please. You. On what? No, I think she's actually not as smart as he is. I don't think he's very smart either, by the way. I'm not a big fan of his brain. But I think that she's actually not as smart as he is.
What do you attribute her rising in the polls as becoming a more competitive race since she's taken over?
Well, she's a woman. She represents certain groups of people. But I will say this. When people find out about her, I think she'll be much less. And I see it right now. I see her going way down in the polls now. Now that people are finding out that she destroyed San Francisco, she destroyed the state of California along with Governor Gavin Newsom. He's been a terrible governor, terrible. But they did it together. And she was early. I mean, she was the first of the prosecutors, really. Now you see Philadelphia, you see Los Angeles, you see New York, you see various people that are very bad. But she was the first of the bad prosecutors. She was early. Who? Would you repeat that, please? No, you. Would you repeat her, what she said? You have to speak up. This room is very louder. Do you hear her? A daily press briefing? Why would I do that? I would give you all the press briefings you want. Look what I'm doing here. But why would I do a daily press? You'd get tired of me very fast. No, but I will give you total access, and you'll have a lot of press briefings, and you'll have from me. Now, are you talking about from me or from a press secretary? Well, yeah, probably they'll do something. If it's not daily, it's going to be a lot. You'll have more than you want. Yeah, please.
Consider granting clemency for a pardon?
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. With Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please. We won the election. I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get. I thought it was so bad to take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States, and then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail, and I think you know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the MAGA, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is I think the base is 75% of the country, far beyond the Republican Party, because we're a party of common sense, and I'm a person of common sense. I want to have low taxes. I want to have strong borders. I want to have a strong military so that China and Russia, look, they've allowed China and Russia to do the impossible combined. They're natural enemies. They always have been, because China needs more land and Russia has it. They've always been natural enemies, and because of Obama, it started with him, and then Biden, because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, they've now become one force. And then now they're adding Iran to it, and they're adding North Korea to it. Pretty powerful force. This is something that is unthinkable that they allowed to happen.
Just to put a button on this, you're saying that you're not going to change your campaign strategy. You're going to keep going with the issues. Well, what if this so-called honeymoon period doesn't end?
Oh, it's going to end.
Yeah.
The honeymoon period's going to end. Look, she's got a little period. She's got a convention coming up. It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent because I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language, but everything she's touched has turned bad. She's incompetent. The reason she's not doing what I do and she's not doing what she should be doing, she won't even do interviews with friendly people because she can't do better than Biden. Now, he had a reason for not doing well, and he was never, 25 years ago, the sharpest or brightest bulb in the ceiling. That I can tell you, okay? He wasn't. But he could do interviews at least. Not lately, he couldn't, perhaps. But she should be doing interviews. She doesn't want to do interviews. And the reason she doesn't is, number one, her policies are so bad. Just to answer your question, I think that it's not going to change because it's really ultimately not about her as much as about her policies. She wants open borders. She wants to defund the police. She wants to defund the police. She wants to take away your guns. Mm-hmm. Anybody that thinks they're not going to come after your guns, you know, when I was president, I totally protected the guns. And I think it's very important. And I know I take some heat sometimes for it, but you have to have safety. You have to have, when the bad guy walks in with a gun, you got to have some way of protecting yourself. And boy, that would be, you would see crime go up at levels that you've never seen. When people say on this side of the house, this house has guns, we will use the guns, they say, let's pass. We'll go someplace else. You have to have them. And for 4 years, and you know, as you know, the NRA endorsed me very powerfully every time I ran, every time. My sons are members, and I guess indirectly I'm a member too. But they gave me the strongest of endorsements, and that's against very strong competition. People that, you know, felt the same way. No, you have to have that right. Our Second Amendment is a very important right, and it has to be protected. Okay, how about you? Go ahead. Yeah. So there are some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street that are saying that if President Trump doesn't win, you're going to have a depression. I happen to agree. I think that's true. Because I know how bad these people are. You know, they like to say that they did this and that. You saw the $7 trillion that they said it was me for $7 trillion. It wasn't me. It was them. They said that I had inflation. They took over 9% inflation. No, I had 1% inflation. I had actually no inflation because if you look at the categories, we had just about no inflation. But I had a very minor, I actually had a positive inflation. It was a perfect number because you don't want zero. I mean, I'm not going to give you a whole course on economics, but you don't want zero. 1%, 1.4% is great. You want a little bit because you don't want to have deflation. Deflation is, in many ways, even worse. I had a perfect number right around the 1% number. It was perfect. And to show you, it stayed there for 2 years. And then he did all of the different borrowings that he did. And then he did so many things wrong. Every time he would do it, I'd say, big mistake. And don't forget, they sell hats and they sell stories. Trump was right about everything. I have been right about a lot. Yes, Maggie. So there are some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street that are saying that... We had a commission like other people do, and it's always complicated. If President Trump doesn't win, and we had commissions that, and I think of respected people, you know many of the people on the commission, and they would recommend to me certain pardons for certain people. Some people were treated very harshly. A fantastic woman, as you know, she served 24 years for being on a phone call having to do with drugs. You know who I'm talking about. She was great. And she had another 24 years to go. And it was largely about marijuana, which in many cases is now legalized, okay? But we had many very highly regarded people on a commission, and they'd recommend, and they'd put a reason why. Some people were, served time, but they served a lot of time for something that today people wouldn't even serve time by. Well, for the most part, I think they did. I mean, they did. They go through. They went through. I had a commission. It was a very important commission to me, and highly respected people. And frankly, they came up with some decisions that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, but I did it. But I let a lot of people out that had no representation. I went to people in jails, in prison that we respected. I said, how many of these people should be let out? We let out large groups of low-income people that were serving like 40 years for something that today you wouldn't even be put in jail for. We had very few people let out because I said, I really don't want to let people out where they had a lot of violence, where they had killing, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, we didn't do that. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Regarding the Fed, if you win in November, do you want more of a say over the Fed on issues like the interest rate? Do you think that
on defense?
Or the Federal Reserve? And do you think
Federal Reserve. Right. Well, look, the Federal Reserve is a very interesting thing, and it's sort of gotten it wrong a lot. And he's tending to be a little bit late on things. He gets a little bit too early and a little bit too late. And, that's very largely it's a gut feeling. I believe it's really a gut feeling. And I used to have it out with him. I had it out with him a couple of times very strongly. I fought him very hard. And, we get along fine. We get along fine. But I feel the president should have at least say in there. Yeah, I feel that strongly. I think that in my case, I made a lot of money. I was very successful. And I think I have a better instinct than, in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman. Yeah.
People going to prison for marijuana.
Yeah.
Harris supports rescheduling marijuana and also says that no one should go to prison for marijuana offense. Do you agree with those positions?
Well, as we legalize it, I start to agree a lot more because, it's being illegalized all over the country. Florida has something coming up. I'll be making a statement about that fairly soon. But as we legalize it throughout the country, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's awfully hard to have people all over the jails that are in jail right now for something that's legal. So I think, obviously, there's a lot of sentiment to doing that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris's father is Jamaican American, and she went to a historically black college. How is she only recently deciding to be black?
Well, you'll have to ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her, and I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative. But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful to both, really. Whether it's Indian or black, I think it's very disrespectful to both. To me, it doesn't matter. Please, red dress.
Wow, he's just going on.
Is your ear fully recovered? Is there a scar? Do you have
Yeah, pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from it?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. On top. A little bit. Yeah.
When Senator Vance has been asked about that, he sort of suggested that really you only need to go after people who've been convicted of crime.
Well, we're starting that, yeah.
Okay, so
Thank you.
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country because we have no choice. It's not sustainable. And we're going to start with violent criminals, and we're going to start then with criminals. And our local police is going to work with us because they know everything about the people. They know their names. They know everything about them. They know their middle name. They know their numbers. And as you know, the other side is trying. Look, for years I wondered, why are they allowing these people to come in at levels like this? It was incredible. And I said two reasons. They're either really stupid, and I don't believe they're stupid, because anybody that can cheat in elections like they cheat is not stupid, or in the alternative, they have bad motives or they hate our country. And I used to think they hate our country. But lately I've seen where they're trying to sign these people up to vote. And they have to stop. They cannot let illegal immigrants vote in this upcoming election. All right, one more question. Go ahead, one more. Make it a good one, please.
Regarding Social Security taxes for seniors,
Right.
experts say that the policy could increase the deficit by $1.6 trillion. So how would it work?
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security. We're not changing it. And I proved that over 4 years. And we're going to do it. It's very unfair to people. They spend their life and they're great citizens and they pay in. We're not going to charge tax to Social Security, the seniors. Nice. We're not going to do it. We're not going to charge. And also tax. I say the two things. We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple. And we are a country that has so many different ways to make money. We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil, and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax. Okay? We should not have sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities is a way of protecting criminals, and we should not have sanctuary cities. And if you go to California, and I know it well, I have property out there, great property. If you go to California and you ask the people of California, do they like the idea of sanctuary cities? They don't like it. They're tired of it. They're tired of crime. They're tired of what's happened to our country. Our country's become a crime-ridden mess, and we're going to stop it on November 5th. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Donald Trump, they're doing over and out.
Wow. Right there, I think that he just threw down the gauntlet. The media, he just took question after question. By my count, about an hour and 10 minutes of questions. He just kept going and going and going. And I love two things that he talked about. He talked about everything. Even though the reporters were stupid and they were asking questions that nobody cares about, he was able to come back and say, First Amendment, Second Amendment, we're going to make sure people can keep hold of their firearms. Basically, I don't want to censor people. And then he said, and which I found very interesting, which probably made a couple people in that audience, made their butt pucker, when he said, baby removal, he used the real word, I can't. Baby removal isn't an issue. And I know, I could just imagine seeing heads just explode across the audience when he said baby removal isn't an issue. Because everything the media has tried to do, everything that they've basically been choreographing this entire time, has tried to make it seem as though the world, everybody here in America, has to have baby removals. And they have to be transformers. And he said, those aren't even issues. Don't even want to talk about them. Shut it down. We don't care. Then he also said something about Steve Bannon, which I thought was very, very important, as he talked about the weaponization of the DOJ. Very important that he mentioned that these people are being attacked by Biden's DOJ, or now Kamala's DOJ. But he stood up there for an hour and 15 minutes taking question after question about stuff he does want to talk about, stuff he doesn't want to talk about. Obviously, his voice was a little bit harsh. Maybe he's got some allergies and his really hot down here today. I mean, so, I don't know which room in Mar-A-Lago he had that, but it's really hot. Not making excuses because my voice also gets a little harsh at times. But in any event, he stood up. Wasn't sitting down. He stood up at a platform for over an hour and 15 minutes, took every single question, even though he said last question. I think he took 2 more after he said last question, and he just kept going and saying, now what are you going to do? And I'm glad I had to change feed, because the feed that I was on was Reuters, and they cut it. They cut it. I mean, as he was talking, I looked down at the monitor here, and they cut the feed. They didn't even want to keep going with him. I wonder if MSNBC and CNN and the other stations even carried it. They probably didn't, because they know their girl can't do this. Kamala Harris cannot stand up there with no. I mean, he didn't have a pad, didn't have any notes, didn't have a pen. Just stood there, said, bring it. Your turn. Let me hear what you got to say. Bring it. I'll answer all these questions. That was so powerful. Even if you're not a Trump fan, even if you're a troll here in our chat, even if you think to yourself, I'm a Kamala fan or whatever, you have to sit back and go, damn, this dude just strolled out there, went up to a podium, and just took questions from anybody who wanted to ask him. No script. Just ask me whatever you want to ask me. You want to ask me about crowd size? I don't care. That's a stupid question. Tell it to him. That's a stupid question. But all the other questions about, money, finances, national defense, boom, boom, boom. The strategic oil reserve, boom, boom, boom. I'll give you the answers. Kamala couldn't do that. There is no possible way Kamala Harris could do that. None. Not a single chance in hell that she could do that. And so what he just did, in my estimation, is just basically put her in checkmate. Now, how effective will it be? Doesn't matter. I think that's what the key is. It doesn't matter how the media reacts. What matters is people are going to hear it. People are going to see it. People are going to see snippets of it. I guarantee you, Elon Musk will talk about it on Monday. The word is going to get out the same way the word is getting out about Tim Walz's horse milkshake. It's getting out. They can't stop it anymore. That's one of the reasons why they try to basically shut down Elon Musk, which I don't know if you heard. He went and he was suing the advertisers for trying to boycott against him and doing some sort of collusion, and they basically disbanded GARM, which was Global Advertising something. They were the ones who were getting all the advertisers together and saying, don't advertise on True Social, don't advertise on Rumble, and don't advertise on Twitter. They disbanded it. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to increase the monetization for guys like me on Twitter, on Rumble. Things may be just opening up, but this particular press conference, it wasn't for the media, because we know they're going to lie anyway. Every single one of you already know the media's going to lie. I saw a bunch of guys saying in the chat, they're going to say he's hard of hearing, he's old, he can't hear. We already know it, but it wasn't meant for them. It was meant for an audience of basically 3 people. Right now, he delivered it to, when I say audience, it can be collectively big, all of us. All of the MAGA people who've been looking for him to take ownership of this race. Boom, he spoke to us. Number 2, he spoke specifically to the media and let them know, I'm coming. You can't stop what's coming. Get used to this. And, the lady said, you're going to have press conferences every day. And he thought she meant him. He's like, no, not me. But he did say you'd have press conferences every day. And the third person that he was directing that to was Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, no matter where she is, somewhere saw what just happened and probably pooped her pants. She had to realize at this point, this guy has upped the game, and he's going to do it again on Monday. Notice what one of the ladies asked him. And I know that they should have had a microphone running around in the audience, but one of the ladies asked him, And it was it was very, very telling in terms of where these people wanted to take the conversation. They wanted to take it to their own personal issues. They didn't want to talk about big picture issues. And she started asking a question in regards to the whole crowd size thing. And he looked her right in the face and said, "That's a stupid question." You know, basically, are you afraid because she's drawing crowds? No, that's a stupid question and it's not an issue. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about the newcomers. Let's talk about issues, kitchen table issues that Americans actually care about. That's what he wanted to talk about. She can't talk about those things. Now, and you bring up the DEI and woman of color, doesn't really matter. Don't care anymore. That's over. Now we're in the ring. And you get better strap on the gloves because this is what it's all about. So come Monday, we're going to see some. Oh, what she asked him, "You're not campaigning." That's what I wanted to also cover. I had to look at my notes here. When she said, "You don't seem to be campaigning," and I thought to myself, "You're a stupid little woman." He should have said it again. She exposed what the press really thinks. The press thinks if you aren't talking to them, we're the ones who get the word out. We're the ones who, basically can make or break you. We don't see you doing anything. And if I were him, I would have said, "Were you not one of the 100 million people who watched me with Aiden Ross?" It's probably up to 150 million right now. Were you not one of those people? And he said to her, "I'm talking to you right now." How many people are going to see this press conference between where it was broadcast, online, everywhere? That's 2. Tomorrow, he's got the rally in Bozeman, Montana, which he's going to be trying to help the Republican senator beat John Tester. He didn't have to go to Montana. I was surprised he was going to Montana. Then I realized what he was doing was to try and help the guy beat Tester. Then Monday, Katie barred the door. They didn't want to touch that. You notice one person asked about it and they never did any follow-up, which tells you they were terrified of that. That is going to break the bank. It's going to break the internet, as we all say. When he sits down with Elon Musk on Twitter live and just basically says whatever he wants, and they have a talk up here. When Elon and Trump sit down and talk, they're going to have a talk that is going to be big boy talk. This isn't going to be this stupid stuff that you hear right now with these reporters. This is going to be big boy stuff that they're going to be talking about. And they're going to make it so you and I also understand it. We're about to see this thing ramp up to a whole other level, and Kamala's not ready for it. She's not at all ready for it. So let me see what some of you guys have to say. Aiden Ross, after that, he donated $2.2 million to the campaign. Let's see here. President Trump stopped taking questions from the press. I went over to RSBN, and President Trump was leaving the room. Monday night will be phenomenal. Can you imagine? And I don't know if they're going to do it spaces or they're going to do a live video. I'm not really sure, but it's going to be incredible. I don't even know what kind of server capacity you're going to need to have when he and Elon sit down and talk on Monday. And I hope it's something where we can all grab the stream and talk about it in our little corners of the world as well, because I know everybody's not on Twitter. Now, if that's what happens, if they plan this correctly, they plan it a certain way and say, we're going to be live on X at 8 p.m. And they say, here's the link for all of you else, everybody else that wants to publish and get involved. Different than the debate. Remember the whole thing with the debate? CNN wouldn't let anybody else show it. They wanted to basically be the gatekeepers of the entire debate. And we're all like, okay, that sucks. They're not going to let us see it. I guarantee you when Trump and Elon get together, they're going to make it so this thing can be everywhere. Everywhere. You know what else some people don't talk about? And they didn't mention in this press conference either. When they're talking about, getting people into the Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, in regards to basically winning Pennsylvania, the influencers that he's working with in Pennsylvania are much, much, much bigger than the influencers that Kamala is trying to purchase. Amber Rose is from that area. She's monstrous in terms of the people she can reach. So when the press reporter, the reporter asked about, him campaigning, she's thinking typical campaign. She's thinking ads running on television. She's thinking that kind of stuff as campaigning because that's all they know. She has no idea what the network he has built right now. Again, I said it in my video a couple of days ago, just being on there with Aiden Ross and having 20 million concurrent viewers, over 100+ million have watched it thus far, getting on with Elon, going on with Joe Rogan. I mean, it's going to be audiences that these people at these TV networks have never seen and could never possibly imagine. In my little corner of the world here, I might reach 100,000 people, which is probably more than most network broadcast shows. I know what some of these shows actually get, people actually watch, and it's not some of them aren't even close to what I get. So I can't even imagine what they're going to do when they start pushing stuff on Aiden Ross's channel and Elon Musk does things on Twitter, and God forbid Trump decides, you know what? I've talked to my boys at Truth Social, and what we're going to do is basically do a broadcast on both platforms at the same time here in Mar-A-Lago. I mean, that room that he just took that press conference in, he could just set that up as a studio and go, hey, listen, I'm ready to talk. Flip on the camera and go. And talk to a million people. Oh, it could be crazy. Trump is a man among men. Absolutely. Hi, Phyllis. Thank you very much. Send them back to where they came from, all of them. Go Trump. Yeah, that's going to freak out the media. He said it with a straight face, looked right at the reporter. Yeah, we're going to just tell them they got to go. They got to get. Yeah. And then she asked a stupid question. Well, how are you going to make enough money if you have no more tax on tips? I understand, girlie. This is big boy talk. It's way over your head. You want me to explain where we're going to get the funds if we don't tax people. Here's a hint. That's why the government's freaking out. He's going to cut. Understand, if you've never ran a home budget, which probably, you don't have a home because you don't have a husband and wife and kids. But he knows I'm going to cut. Remember, this guy was already president, so he knows where the holes in this economy are. If I take out this department, I'm probably going to save a gazillion dollars. And I know one place I'm going to save a whole lot of money. Everything that's going over to that guy, that's fighting that war, yeah, that's done. That's done right off the bat. Whatever hasn't been sent isn't going. And I'm pretty sure Zelensky knows that too. What else we got? Yeah, he was sharp as a tack. Took every single question. Didn't shy away from a single one. A typical Joe Biden press conference consisted of an opening statement followed by 5 scripted questions with pictures, so he could recognize who it was he had to call. And neither Joe nor Kamala could do this. That's the thing I think was basically shown today, was that neither of those two candidates could do what this man just did. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, guys, thank you. I'll be live again at 7 o'clock tonight when I'm going to be talking about the undebunkable aspect of this election. He touched on it. When she touched on it, she asked him about, how are you doing now with the black voters? And it was so stupid, because what Kamala Harris did yesterday, in my estimation, I've talked to a few people today, what she did yesterday, which I will show you tonight, I think seals the black audience, at least the black men. There's no way she can win mathematically. I've been telling you, I'm going to tell you more tonight at 7 p.m. Have a good rest of your day. Tune in tonight at 7. Let's talk about that. Thanks for tuning in.